All right, let's get into some of the main topics here. And let's start with the breaking news. Mike Coppinger over at Ring Magazine reporting that
Ooh,
we are getting close. Mike Coppinger, your friend,
attaboy.
the
That's
cop,
the legend.
reporting that we are getting close to finalizing a deal for Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz to fight. This has been a long gestating fight. The negotiations have been going on for several months. It appeared at several different times that we might not get this fight between Boots and Virgil. Credit to both these guys, credit to their teams. It does seem like we are just days away, maybe hours away from getting some kind of formal announcement about this fight happening, probably in the month of April. So, Sergio, I know both these guys talked about moving on to other things. Boots could have maybe fought Josh Kelly, Virgil Ortiz. He was exploring some other options as well. Is it a good thing? I assume you're going to say yes, but is it a good thing that we are going to get Virgil versus Boots in the first quarter of this year?
Hell yes. Come on. We need this fight. We need this fight. Boxing need this fight. I demand this fight, Mannix. If this fight would have been pushed aside for a stay busy fight, I don't know how I would have reacted. I don't know how boxing fans would have reacted. We probably would have jumped off the Boots and the Virgil train because all the talk they've been doing, and I know it's not them, and it's probably the managers and the promoters doing this, but whoever it is, their team, their voice prevented this fight, but not anymore. So I'm glad this fight's happening because it's one of the biggest fights in boxing, man. This is prime versus prime. This is a world champion in Boots from a different side of the country against a Tex-Mex Mexican. Philly versus Texas, man. It's perfect. A style matchup. One of the highest knockout ratio punchers in Virgil against one of the best boxer punchers in Boots. I mean, it's what we want. It's what really intrigues the mind, not only as a fan, but as a boxer. I don't know who wins that fight. I spent all my life in this sport. I don't know who wins this fight. I this is why it's so intriguing. This is why it had to happen. And I'm glad that we're finally going to cross the finish line because when this fight gets announced, even the casuals are going to have to admit, whoa, this is what boxing's about. This is what I've been waiting for boxing to be doing. This is what I want to tune into. Boots versus Virgil in Las Vegas, hopefully, because it demands the city of lights. I can't wait, man. This is what makes this sport the best sport in the world.
Yeah, I think Vegas is the most likely location for this fight. I think there's still some work to be done. There are a few fights coming up in Las Vegas, and if you know anything about the pay-per-view business and ticket selling business, you want to have some separation between yourself and these fights. But I think it's great that it's happening now, and I give both these fighters first and foremost the most credit. Like both these guys clearly insisted that this fight happen. We saw Jaron Ennis in the ring at the fight for Virgil Ortiz against Eric Lubin calling for this fight. And Virgil Ortiz, who probably could have gone a different direction, maybe moves up in weight. It does a whole bunch of different things. He wanted this fight to happen as well. No belts on the line in this fight. That's the other thing, too. Like, and I had this conversation with somebody recently. There are both these guys, I think, they have interim titles. Boots has the WBA, Virgil has the WBC. Maybe this goes back to my conversation with Mauricio Suleiman. Don't pay for those sanctioning fees. Don't pay for it. Like this fight goes so beyond the titles. Like the winner of this fight is going to unquestionably be the number one guy in the 154-pound division. All respect to Sebastian Vendora. All respect to Josh Kelly. All respect to Xander Zayas, who has two belts. The number one guy is the winner of this fight. I don't think that's in dispute. I don't think anyone can really argue with that. The person that wins this fight will have the best win by a country mile. So maybe keep the money in your pockets, fellas. If it's six figures to pay for an interim title, maybe keep the money in your pockets. But I'm glad because titles, Sergio, I don't know how you feel. Titles don't matter in a fight like this. I'm glad Xander Zayas, who's a good guy, who's worked hard, who nobody really thought was ever going to be a world champion, is now a unified champion. I'm glad Josh Kelly got the win over your favorite fighter, Bakram. And, Sebastian Vendora is going to return March 28th against Keith Thurman. Great fighter. But the winner of this fight is number one. They don't need titles, in my opinion, to make this fight as big as it possibly can be.
I'm gonna have to push back on this one. I think the number one guy in this division is Sebastian Fundora. For not only beating down Tim Tszyu, another champion, but he's been dominating, and he's a danger, man. It's not only his height, his reach, his length, his volume, his power. He's just cut from a different cloth. It's going to be hard to beat him stylistically. So I have him number one. But this fight it doesn't matter about the belts. You're right there. It's undefeated versus undefeated between two fighters that are completely different in style and fight IQ and the way they come into the ring and fight. They bring two different demographics. That's always interesting and great in boxing and for ticket sales. So it's the biggest mainstream fight. I'm sorry, it's the biggest fight in boxing, but it's not the biggest mainstream fight. The biggest mainstream fight is going to involve Canelo, Benavidez, or a heavyweight championship, or like a Conor Ben or a Ryan Garcia. That's going to sell more pay-per-views. That's going to be more mainstream, but it's not going to be the best versus the best like this fight with Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis. That it doesn't. That's the peak versus peak, Mannix. I mean, 27 versus 28-year-old. That's what you want to see in boxing. You know, someone's has to go. And if it's for a world championship, great. But in this occasion, it doesn't matter. There's no belt on the line. Who cares? Bring it on. And this is a great case for belts not mattering. You know, for a long time, I've been an advocate for all the sanctioning bodies and saying, hey, we need that belt coming out of the ring. For this fight, boxing has proven that the belts are not really that important.
Well, you make the point about the magnitude of this fight, and there are certainly fights that would do bigger business. Could Ryan Garcia against Conor Ben do bigger global business? Probably. A rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, given what happened in the first
Yes.
fight, probably does bigger business. But in terms of skill versus skill, prime versus prime, levels, I can't think of a fight in U.S. boxing, at least U.S. boxing. I'm trying to shrink the pool a little bit, but in U.S. boxing, that is bigger than Boots versus Virgil. There's not. Like, could you say like Bam versus Inoue
No,
is? And you,
Canelo
no, I mean,
Benavidez. Canelo Benavidez is the only
maybe a
one.
few years ago, but that's not. Canelo's not prime anymore. Both these guys are in their primes. Bam versus Inoue would be both these guys in their primes, even though Inoue is starting to get to the back end of that prime. There's nothing else. There's nothing better in U.S. boxing today than Virgil against Boots. And I hope that over the next few weeks, this event gets the promotion it deserves. I want to see a press conference in Philadelphia. I want to see a press conference in Dallas. I want to see a press conference in Vegas. I want to see these two guys face to face, nose to nose, at multiple stops. I want this thing built because look, it's a different pay-per-view era. It's not going to do a million pay-per-view buys, but this is the kind of fight that should grab mainstream attention. This is the kind of fight that people are going to watch. Even if they have to pay for it, people are going to watch and go, that was worth it. That was worth the price of a ticket. That was worth the price of my pay-per-view. That was worth it. How many times in boxing can we say that?
I can think of a few. I can
All right.
think of a
Well,
few
I'm not asking you to think of a few. You know,
that involved Oscar De
it
La
was
Hoya,
it was a
that involved
rhetorical question.
Canelo.
Then you have to go back 20 years ago.
Hey, don't
Right?
be asking rhetorical questions expecting me not to be non-rhetorical.
I
I,
don't think
I think
that's
that makes sense. But I can think of a few, but it always involves a popular name versus a B side. And it always involves like a culture clash, like I'm talking about. The biggest fights are culture clashes. Floyd Mayweather Jr., against whoever he fought. It was always that brought up the biggest stars, the biggest names, and the biggest intrigue. And this is one of them. So belt or not, this fight is gonna happen, needs to happen. Boxing deserves and needs it. And I think it'll pan out. It's not going to be a boxing session. It's not going to be a Mayweather Pacquiao, where they're running around the ring and they're not really engaging. This is going to be violent, and I don't think it goes a distance. I think someone gets knocked out, and hopefully I get to see more than just one fight of it because it's perfection. This is perfection in pugilism.